Good morning everyone and welcome back. So today we got another tutorial video for you guys. This one's going to cover Scolopendra DEHAANI. Now that's going to work for your Malaysian cherry reds and your Vietnamese giants in particular. This is a pretty versatile setup. It is a jungle setup, so it takes a little maintenance in comparison to like the desert setups I've done, and I'll explain the maintenance later. But anyways, these are the most common centipede in the hobby, basically. They're oftentimes sold as Scolopendra subspinipes, but that idea is incorrect. These are Scolopendra DEHAANI, the Vietnamese giant centipede or the Malaysian cherry reds, etc. DEHAANI's cool, in my opinion, because it can get extremely large. I've seen very rare power-fed specimens, this exact color form, at over 13 inches, which is absolutely massive. But most of these are never going to get above 6 to 8 inches. So don't expect a monster like a Giganti, but they do have the potential. Again, those are extremely rare cases where people likely kept them real hot and power fed them. But we're not going to go over anything like that today. We're just doing the tutorial on the enclosure. So let's jump right into this. I'll explain it. It's pretty straightforward. You're going to need yourself some peat moss and some sand for your base layer. That's going to be about a 15%, 85% mix. You're also going to need a little bit of leaf litter. This isn't for the top layer. This is actually to be mixed into the substrate. It's a little different than what I've done on my other enclosures, but I'll explain that more here in a second. And then we got some gravel. That's actually for top layer. Not too much, but a little bit. And then, of course, you got your bark. You need debris in there, stuff for them to climb through, enrichment, etc. Anyways, let's get into this video. I'm going to show you the tub first. So, locking lids is obvious. That's something you need no matter what. We're going to have that seal right here on the top, that little lip that bumps up, and then in the lid itself it has a seal as well. So we're going to want something like that simply because centipedes are escape artists, as everyone knows, and I don't have to go over that, you know, for obvious reasons. Now, since this is a tropical setup, you want high ventilation, because in tropical setups you're prone to mold and fungus growth. That's why these need a little bit more maintenance than those desert enclosures. If you ever notice decaying food, which you should always take out of any enclosure, but be really diligent in your humid tropical enclosures, because those will mold very quickly, and as we all know, mold and fungus are not good for your centipedes. Also, the bark you keep in here, that has a tendency to mold, and when that does, sterilize that wood instantly. Don't just clean it off and put it back in, because it's going to come right back. Any place you see mold growth that's on a wood surface or a rock, sterilize it instantly before you ever put it back in the enclosure. If you notice mold growth inside the substrate, which you never should if you're using peat and sand, but if you do because, say, food got trapped down in there, or there's some debris or something that somehow it molded onto, take the entire layer of substrate out and put new substrate in. The reason I say do that is just you don't want any complications and you want to keep your animal healthy. It might be able to tolerate it, but why risk it? Anyways, let's go ahead and get that substrate mixed in here. Again, we're going to be using about 85% peat and 15% sand. So I'll get that mixed all together for you guys. Now, before I mix, I'm going to wet the sand a little bit. We're going to want to get it pretty, not saturated obviously, but pretty damp. That's going to allow for proper mixture, because my peat and my sand are both dry right now. But we want to focus on getting the sand wet and not as much the peat. So I put the peat down and the sand on top. It's going to all get wet obviously. But at first we just want that wet. So that's what we're going to get mixed up here and get wet. So I'll continue this and then we'll move along. Alright, so we got our sand and our peat mixed in. So now we're going to go ahead and add that leaf litter that I told you about. This is also going to be mixed into the substrate. So I'm going to go ahead and get that mixed up for you guys. Alright, now we got it mixed in. Now, this being a jungle enclosure, as we all know, jungles have a lot more vegetation. So I've mixed that in because your forest floor is going to be covered with all sorts of debris between, dead leaves and plants and soil. So I've just added a more naturalistic element to the base substrate, basically, is what I've done. I've also, I don't know if you can see here, done a little bit of an elevation differential. Not much, but this is very low and this is slightly higher here. This gives a very small section for burrowing. They don't need a super deep section for burrowing for DEHAANI. I used to use a lot of substrate, but this is realistically all you're going to need, and it's about this deep. So that's not super deep, but it's deep enough. Anyways, let's start getting our last bit of ground cover on there. We're going to first do our bark. So in my higher back corner section, I've put a small piece of bark. This gives an area about as deep as my finger between the substrate and the bark. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this piece just like this. Now, it's going to be very slightly propped up right there. That's going to encourage use. Now we can stack our other bark. I just wanted to kind of go over what I do. I wasn't putting it flat against the ground. It may burrow there, but if I do this, it's just going to encourage it hiding there. Since this is a tropical species, it needs to be in nice open ventilation. So, being under just bark rather than burrowed is better ventilation. But let's put the rest in. Alright, we're almost finished. So we got the bark in. Now let's put that little bit of gravel I talked about for aesthetics. And there you have it, a finished enclosure. So let's see how he likes it. Go ahead and add him. And immediately, I'm sure it's going to find one of those hides. Well, might walk around for a second here. Let's see. Yep, it's getting a drink of water. But yeah, that is our finished DEHAANI enclosure. So this will work for a lot of specimens. This one's not super huge. It's right around 7 inches. But it's still growing. It's really nice looking orange leg. I've shown it before, I think, in videos. I'm not 100% sure which one I've shown, but I think it was this one. But anyways, I want to give a little update. I will be doing a enclosure tutorial on Scolopendra cingulata as well as Scolopendra robusta or species robusta. I'm not going to call it Scolopendra robusta. That's not a correct name. But this will work for your Gallopinensis, at least the ones in the hobby. They're not real Gallopinensis, but it'll also work for your Giganti and other giants like that. So like your gold Giganti and your black Giganti and all that. But anyways, oh yeah, and then the handling video. The third handling video will be coming, I promise. I've made many takes of it. I kind of made this as a video to take a break from trying to get that video finished because I've had to restart a number of times. It's just not coming out how I like it. So I promise I'm going to get that third handling video out here very soon. Just be patient with me, please. I know I've been promising it. It's rather difficult to make a video where a centipede is envenomating you and it looks nice and all that. But I'll get it finished and I'll get it posted here pretty soon. But again, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, check me out on Instagram at Mike's House of 1,000 Legs, underscores in between each of those. Also, if you are looking for centipedes that are available, I do have some for sale at my Instagram. So check me out again on Instagram if you do want to buy centipedes or you just want to see more content. So anyways, I'll let you guys go. I appreciate all the support, and I hope you like these videos. I'll keep them coming.